Okay, so last time on ibi.mp4, I said this. If you think of the anime industry as a playground, except with big burly gorilla monkeys instead of kids, the big three are the monkeys with the heftiest, schlongiest monkey schmeat, careening that shit around to assert their dominance over every other anime at the time and their influence on ones in the future. And you see, I was kinda wrong. If we go back a step and revisit the wide wonderful world that is the anime monkey playground analogy, and gaze out at the vast array of primate penis on display, the big three are juggernauts, there's no doubt about it. Among Western fans, they were immensely popular, sold a metric ton, and did a lot to get people into anime. That's all very true. But while their monkey schmeat may be quite hefty and schlongy, I neglected to mention that there's one anime whose sheer girth and size not only rivals the big threes, but if I had to guess, probably far surpasses it. One monkey who might as well be the granddad to all the little monkeys we know as shonen anime. And that Giga monkey goes by the name...
Hey, it's me, Goku!
Introducing Dragon Ball Z is probably the most redundant thing a person can do. Everyone knows what this shit is. Your parents, your grandma, your newborn baby cousin, even starving Mongolian children deep in the far reaches of China probably still have that one Goku Walmart shirt tucked in their closet. This motherfucker is in Fortnite. Look at this shit. Even if you haven't seen Dragon Ball Z, you could probably piece a good chunk of it together through osmosis, considering how widespread the series is. It's a towering piece of pop culture in a way very few anime can claim to be, and its legacy stands the test of time, along with the damn series itself, cause Christ does that thing refuse to end. Between movies, TV, and manga, the Dragon Ball franchise is still going fairly strong, and as far as I know, isn't showing signs of stopping anytime soon. And as a longtime Dragon Ball fan, I'm sure that you can guess that I absolutely hate it. Yeah, that was a turn. You see, I love Dragon Ball, specifically Z Kai. One fateful night, years and years ago, when I was up late enough that Cartoon Network was gone, and I was still too pussy to watch Adult Swim, late enough that my mom would have beat my ass if she caught me, I tuned into Nicktoons looking for something to watch, and was promptly introduced to a little series that would change my life. They had this brand new program known as Dragon Ball Z Kai, and I was instantly gripped by my tiny little kid nuts. I fell hard for Dragon Ball Z, mostly because I'd never seen anything like it. It's one of the first anime I watched, other than like Beyblade or Pokemon or Bakugan, at a time when I still had no idea what the fuck anime was. I didn't know this shit was being made by some overworked Japs overseas, I just thought they were hella unique. And so every week on Monday night I'd tune in at 8 to see a brand new episode of Dragon Ball Z Kai, and it was magical. I followed a good chunk of the journey from Raditz bitch ass to Frieza's racist ass to the end of the Cell Saga. I watched Buu online through shitty fan re-uploads, watched a lot of the movies, even fucking Bio Broly. I could still whoop any of y'all in Budokai Tenkaichi 3, I somehow have a soft spot for GT, and of course watched an unhealthy amount of 2000 Dragon Ball AMVs. I think that one Gohan vs Cell AMV made me cry. So why then, if I'm such a huge fan of Dragon Ball Z, do I hate the current state of its franchise? I mean, I still like the movies, but the mainline show and manga for Super, while by no means bad, just personally bore me to tears. Well, I want you to think about this. Like I said before, even if you've never watched Dragon Ball, you probably have a good idea of what it is and what it represents. And so you know that its perception in 2022 is kinda dog shit. You see fans debating which verses Goku negs, power scalers adding new words to the dictionary just to quantify how powerful Goku's 98th transformation is, Goku surpassing his limits for the 80th time, Vegeta getting folded like a 3DS for the 81st time, and so on and so forth. You might have this idea in your mind that Dragon Ball Z is this mostly mindless power fantasy wet dream, where big smelly men punch each other for a couple hundred episodes, occasionally transform, level up through the power of friendship, and never ever fucking die. And you would be entirely correct. I mean, you'd be pretty much right on the money, but you'd still be missing a crucial part of your perception of the series, a crucial part of the franchise that makes it beloved by so many, a crucial part of what makes Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z so near and dear to my heart, and a crucial part that I think has been mostly absent from the series in the modern day. Where did that dragon soul go? While it's always been ridiculous and maybe even kinda stupid, Dragon Ball, before Super, before GT, before Toriyama mostly left, meant something special, something that was passed down through the blood of every shonen to come since. But somewhere along the way, I feel like what Dragon Ball means, what Dragon Ball is, got distorted, not just by the internet and fans, but even by the people currently creating it. So in order to validate my nostalgia, I thought it'd be nice to look back on Dragon Ball Z, Kai specifically, and hopefully rediscover what, in my heart at least, makes the series such a shining pillar in my dumbass brain. To rediscover what Dragon Ball Z means to me.
I was a terror since the public school era. Bathroom passes, cutting classes, squeezing asses. Smoking blunts was a daily routine since 13. A chubby nigga on the scene. I used to have the tray deuce and the deuce in my bubble goose. Now I got the Mac in my knapsack, lounging black, smoking sacks up in axe and sidekicks with my sidekicks, rocking fly kicks. Honeys wanna chat, but all we wanna know is where the party at. And can I bring my gat? If not, I hope I don't get shot. Better throw my vest on my chest, cause niggas is a mess. It don't take nothing but front for me to start something. Bugging and bucking at niggas like I was duck hunting. Dumbing out just me and my crew, cause all we wanna do is and party and bullshit and party and bullshit and party and bullshit and party.
Alright, okay, I know you're all feeling to hear my thoughts, but before we get into the real nitty-gritty of this, I want to quickly answer the question of why Kai, and what Z-Kai even is. See, way back in the year of our Lord 2008, Toei wanted to do what any big company wants to do, make a whole lot of money while spending as little as they could. In pursuit of this effort, they had the brilliant idea to take their #1 cash cow, Dragon Ball Z, and spruce it up for new audiences. Not by remaking the original series, cause that would cost too much, but instead by recutting it, trimming all of the filler and padding and all the other little nasties that plagued the original run in a relatively cheap effort to market the franchise further. They wanted to indoctrinate a fresh, impressionable cavalcade of children into the Dragon Ball zeitgeist. And this worked. It worked like a damn charm, at least it did here in the West, introducing me and a whole new generation of kids to Dragon Ball Z. Obviously, I am biased towards Kai. It's the version that I grew up with, and so it has preferential treatment in my head. But there's a practical reason for it too. You see, the original Dragon Ball Z had a lot of and don't get me wrong, Kai still has some of that too. It's kind of just part of the series, but it cuts it down heavily, slicing the nearly 300 episode series in half to a much more manageable 167. Kai also boasts one of the greatest shonen dubs of all time in my opinion. Industry veterans like Sean Schemmel and Christopher Sabat lending these powerful performances to the characters that sell every emotion perfectly. It is much better than the original Z dub, and for my taste, better than the Japanese. I know it's an unpopular opinion, but Goku's sub voice, he just doesn't do it for me. I'm sorry. And plus, the opening bangs. Dragon Soul almost single-handedly makes my case for why I love dubbed openings so much, along with We Are from One Piece, because singing those things is just so damn fun. Kai is an example of an anime remake with very little downsides. The only even minor inconvenience I can think of is that the Goku driving episode gets removed, which is a tragedy because that episode is fantastic, but it's a small price to pay for the improvements. The fact that Kai exists is not appreciated enough. This thing is a fucking miracle. The fact that they redubbed, rescored, and re-edited the entirety of Z to make it fall better in line with the manga is dope, and it's not industry standard at all. Do you know how many fans would kill for the Kai treatment on One Piece or Naruto or Bleach? It's so great because it keeps the same charm and nostalgia of the older series animation while also improving it for modern audiences. A happy medium that a straight up remake just can't do. And for me, it's the best way to experience the story. That and obviously the original manga, which features Akira Toriyama's fantastic art. Quick side note, I personally really love these super fun futuristic vehicle designs he does for his colored covers. I don't know why, I just wanted to mention how apparent this man's appreciation for automobiles is, cause the drip on these cars is not talked about enough. And with that out of the way, let's run it back to the beginning. Back to where our tale actually gets its start. Dragon Ball Z Kai follows that guy, Son Goku, everyone's favorite part monkey himbo man, a martial art master whose favorite things are the 3 F's of fighting, food, and family, largely in that order. Following the adventures he had in the prequel series Dragon Ball, he's living a relatively quiet life with his wife and son. That is, until one day, his bitch-ass estranged older brother Raditz shows up from space, reveals that the two of them are aliens, and threatens the Earth, forcing Goku and his friends to fight for the safety of their homeworld. The arrival of Raditz starts off the first major saga in DBZ, the Saiyan Saga, and it's one that exhibits everything that makes the series so loved. The Saiyan Saga is a fantastic introduction to this world, quickly catching the audience up to speed on what they need to know, and then hitting the ground running with exciting developments and fight scenes that have aged surprisingly well. It's a really refreshing arc to revisit, and I imagine it's really exciting for newcomers, seeing as this is a time before Goku was the multiversal Sigma male Kenegurverse Giga Chad we know him as today. This saga has Goku displaying so much more fear and trepidation than he does later on. You know, these are threats unlike any he's seen before, and he can't just show up with the attitude that he'll eventually wipe the villain. Instead, you watch this desperate, violent struggle for life that forces all of our heroes to work together in order to even have a chance at victory. It's an arc that creates a legitimately dire environment for our heroes while also giving them all a chance to get involved in the fight, and that's something that modern Dragon Ball sadly lacks. There's something so nice about seeing characters like Krillin get to shine. I mean, for fuck's sake, even Yachirobe of all people plays a significant part in winning the fight. It's clear even from this early on how well Toriyama understands his cast. Goku's fire for battle, Piccolo's budding humanity and parental instincts, Gohan balancing his gentle nature with the explosive power inside of him. It's the early seeds of characters that you'll grow to love, and revisiting it was so damn nostalgic. It also helps that this part is permeated by Toriyama's particular style of humor.
I hate the media!
Dragon Ball Z at this point is just such a solid, lovable action series, the enjoyment only increasing with the introduction of new antagonists like the GOAT himself, Vegeta. The Saiyan Saga is a masterful work of shonen storytelling and deserves to be respected, but even with how inventive this arc is, it's comparatively scaled back when you see what's to come, because Toriyama's next work would not only cement a lot of what was established early in the series, it would introduce the rest of the elements that made DBZ such a plague on my brain, and it's all courtesy of...
Hello, monkeys!
Big ass energy blast, godlike aliens, transformations on transformations, green plant people, a tense race against time, mind-meltingly spectacular action, blackface. Okay, I'm sorry, that was kind of out of pocket. But I just know this is where Oda got Usopp's character design. The Ginyu Force, an unforgettable cast of characters, and the world's most entertaining racist. I mean it from the tip of my toes when I say that the Frieza Saga is easily one of the greatest shonen arcs of all time. It's to me everything that shonen should strive to be in its purest form. It takes everything that worked about the previous arc and just adds layers on top of it, polishing it to a perfect sheen. I cannot stress enough how tense the conflicts in this arc feel. Rarely do you see heroes as memorable as in Dragon Ball Z. Rarely do you see villains with this much presence. And rarely do fights lend so much to the story they're telling. Here, I want you to look at this scene. At first, it may seem simple. In it, Vegeta discards his scouter, citing their inability to read hidden energy as a point of weakness. But this is the same technology he touted so much in the last saga, that he relied on, that he gloated about. The same technology that made him overconfident, that got him his ass handed to him by people who were supposed to be lesser. And as a result, he develops the ability to naturally sense energy. He learned from those he thought were inferior, learned from his losses, and he uses that to gain an advantage over his enemies. It's little lessons like these that build on each other, evolving the characters through each conflict they face. Every fight has the characters learning something like this, no matter how big or small, no matter if it's a hero or a villain, and it's so satisfying. It makes every fight feel like it matters, like even a defeat can reveal the knowledge they need to later pull a victory. And that, to me, makes them feel truly dynamic. This is compounded with the fact that when these characters are fighting, you can get a sense of how much winning means to them, not only because of what they'll lose physically, but because of how they carry themselves. The fights are these big, bombastic, ooga booga spectacles that are mesmerizing to watch, but at their core, they're the very simple struggle of two people fighting for their identity. Yes, Frieza's a neo-Nazi who will blow up a planet and kill everyone on it, and that's a problem, but you don't really care about the planet's population. Do you really give a fuck if this fictional planet is blown up? That's not tangible to you. That's not where the stakes come from. Instead, it's the possibility that someone could step in and shatter the ego that makes a character who they are. Prove that Frieza isn't the strongest. Prove that Vegeta's pride was worthless. Prove that Goku can't overcome anything, can't protect the ones he loves. You get the sense that what's really on the line here is a fighter's essence as a person. It's the feelings and ideologies they carry with them into a conflict. It's quite simply their soul. And I love that dichotomy. It's the reason that death in a show where no one ever truly dies can ache so bad. Toriyama explores all these themes through the way he constructs his battles. It's through these nuances that Dragon Ball Z gains its emotional weight, and that's brilliant. Because even if you don't care about the nameless masters they're protecting, you care about the people on screen, and seeing the lengths they'll go to will always keep you on the edge of your seat, and it'll hold you there, right up until the end of the arc. It edges you, slowly, building the tension until the time is right, at which point you're delivered a release so significant, so cathartic, so legendary, that it's gone down in shonen history. A progenitor that established one of the most significant shonen tropes. And it's all courtesy of a transformation.
Then something just snapped. Something inside of me. I didn't care anymore. I didn't care about being better than Kakarot. I didn't care about being a Super Saiyan. I didn't care if I lived. I didn't care about anything. And then it happened.
Dude, to this day, Super Saiyans are just the coolest goddamn thing in the world. Like, don't lie, bro. We all tried doing the Super Saiyan power-up when we were kids. Toriyama is ridiculously good at setup and payoff, and nothing proves that more than this transformation. Every time a character achieves one in the original series, it's never out of nowhere. It's always hinted at beforehand and arrives at the crescendo of their emotional arc, right when you need it most, and it creates this intense whirlwind of hype and emotion that just hits like nothing else. The scene where Goku achieves this for the first time, the way he just explodes in anger is perfection. It ties up the Frieza saga so damn well, and what's crazy is, it's not even my favorite one. This whole arc is amazing, and it's not even my favorite one. That's how much Dragon Ball Z has to offer. I think for me, it's a series that only continues to build on everything I've established, always continuing to deliver dope ass fights, and then reeling you back in with those emotional peaks. The Cell Saga is my favorite story arc here. The androids are not only menacing, but sexy as fuck. Android 18 makes me weak in the knees, and you know 17 ain't too bad either if we being real. Cell is the most over-the-top shithead narcissistic personality in the series, and makes for one ludicrously fun villain. It introduces Trunks, who is like one of the flyest characters in all of anime and manga. I mean, this man has a drip-ass sword, and that fleazy bomber jacket, and that $30 haircut. I want that fit, he's so awesome. I think that man may have single-handedly got me to appreciate fashion and streetwear as much as I do. There's also Gohan, who is just my favorite character. It's tough for me to choose between my two babies, but I'm sorry, Gohan just takes the cake for me. His arc in here is the best character writing in the series. It's the culmination of so much setup from his first appearance, and the scene where the red line goes through his head will always be embedded into my brain. The Buu Saga is comparatively a step down in my opinion. I think a lot of the fanbase agree that it has some narrative issues that hold it back. But man, I think it lives up to the legacy of the series, and I don't know why people try to slander it so hard. I'm still mad at how they shafted Gohan, but the Great Saiyan Man antics are actually really fun. I like Videl a lot, she's cute and a cool addition. Super Saiyan 3 makes me monkey brained. The introduction of fusion is so iconic at this point. Buu is actually Black Air Force energy personified. Kid Buu looks like he eats crayons while his speaker shoes blast NBA Youngboy. And Vegeta is the MVP. This man is a goat. No one will tell me otherwise. Vegeta's moment against Buu is so uncharacteristically tender and caring, it makes me tear up every time. Man, Bulma is so fine. Android 18 is so fine. This has nothing to do with the rest of the script, I just wanted to say that. Whenever I write about a long-running shonen like this, I always get overwhelmed with the sheer breadth of thoughts I want to include. I mean, I think I said it best in the Bleach video. Nothing could truly capture the essence of a series like this better than seeing it yourself. The journey's too long, the content's too dense, it all means too much, but I can try my damn best. Whenever I try to quantify my feelings, it just comes down to the way it can hit you in the heart. There's no reason a moment like Goku's instant transmission should be what it is. We know he'll be okay, but it's a real manifestation of him giving up the fight to his son, passing the torch. And that's beautiful. The way Dragon Ball Z can manifest internal struggles into physical altercations is like nothing else. It's insane to me that a show where people get brought back to life as often as this one can still manage to have some of the most gut-wrenching scenes I've ever watched. And I think that's where the newer entries fall flat for me. They don't feel grounded in the same love and appreciation for what makes these characters tick that the original did, and instead feel like they're kinda chasing spectacle. And honestly, that's okay. I don't hate Super. The movies are fantastic and the main series has its moments. I still have fun watching it and a lot of people love it, but it just doesn't hit the same for me. I'm not bitter, it's just that growing out of a franchise I hold so dearly because it's in many ways stagnated kind of bums me out a little. But every time I revisit the series, I'm reminded of why I love it so much in the first place. There's so much here that makes me want to laugh, that makes me want to cry, that makes me want to shit my pants at how unnecessarily hyped it made me. And that makes me feel so much hope. And I think that right there, that hope is what Dragon Ball Z really means to me. It's never all doom and gloom. With stuff like both Dragon Ball Super Broly and Superhero existing, as well as fantastic fan films such as Dragon Ball Legends, and not to mention the tiny glimpse we get in every single shonen that's come since. I'm glad to see that a part of that dragon soul still lives on somewhere in the world, even if it's just in small doses. And you never know, maybe we'll see it come back in full force one day. I think there's always a chance. It's like the song tells us, nothing ever dies, we will rise again.
These are precious times, Krillin. Being together is everything. That's all that really matters to me right now.
Hey, it's me, Goku! Keep a smile on your face, it looks good on you. But if you get sad, I'm going to beat your ass. I'm out!
Hey, it's me, Ibby. You've got my unwavering gratitude for watching this video, but if you're really trying to surpass your limits, a like or a comment and or subscribing would just push you further beyond. Who knows, maybe if enough of you do, we can use that energy to form a spirit bomb. I try to put the entirety of my being into this video right here. My heart, my soul, my brain, my schmeat, my goddamn toes. Everything that makes me Ibby is in here, and I hope you enjoyed it. This is like the hardest video I've ever had to write. Usually these just come to me, you know, in these big manic bursts where I just write, but this one was hard. I had to really sit down and parse through all my jumbled thoughts to come out with something that was hopefully coherent. It's a new year, which means a whole lot of new bullshit's happened in my life as well as yours. I had a good New Year's Eve. I got clapped off some we'll call it Romani Ranch milk, some polyjuice potion if you will. January 15th was my birthday. Yes, I was born on the same day as MLK. Do with that info as you will. I actually wanted to get this out for my birthday as a way to sort of celebrate it, but obviously that didn't happen. But you should still wish me a happy birth. I'd appreciate it. I've been playing Final Fantasy XIV with the homies and that's been really fun, along with Hi-Fi Rush, which is a banger game. I'm watching Tokyo Revengers Season 2 right now, as well as Vinland Saga, both of which are chef's kiss peak fiction. The Last of Us show on HBO is surprisingly good. I'm a big fan of both games, so I'm excited to see where they go. Listen to Lil Yachty's new album. It's way better than it has any right to be. And quick correction for the beginning of this video, Toriyama did not leave, he became more hands-off, because he still is involved with the series. I just don't want people getting on my ass for that. I think that's it for now. I know I said I'd work on the Patreon, but it was a busy month, and honestly I want to hold off till I think of any decent perks and tiers, so as soon as I get that running, I'll let you know. And if I remember, I'm gonna put the names of anyone who donated to the channel up on the screen right now. If I forgot you, I'm sorry, I still love you. If I'm being honest, I'd kinda like this video to do well. I did kinda put it all down here, so if it flops, that'll be mighty awkward. But we'll get over it, you know? Hope for the best, then you're on to the next. We all have the human rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of W's. And I'm just glad this video exists, and I'm glad you exist to watch it. Thanks again for always having my back. Stay fresh, stay healthy. I hope you're all stacking your paper and hugging your homies. And have yourselves a damn good one.